This is CTV. Don't blink.
In the news tonight, hundreds convened to pay tribute to former Orthodox Church Archbishop John Rwanga.
Always earmark 5th September to be a Heroes' Day for the Orthodox Church.
Revisiting 2007, when Queen Elizabeth came to Uganda for the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting. And government to relocate people staying in the disaster-prone mountain Rwenzori ranges.
To shift and settle in areas where the risks are very low.
And in sports, Uganda takes bowl competition trophy after defeating Germany 90-12 at Rugby World Cup Sevens.
A very good evening. Thank you for joining us. This is PM Edition on CTV. I'm Kalachi Brown with Isaac Richams on sign language interpretation. Starting us off today, the Orthodox Church of Uganda has today held special prayers for the former Archbishop of the Church of Uganda, Yona Rwanga, who died a year ago. Much emphasis today was put on truth, justice, and fight for the rights of the vulnerable people. Here is more.
On 5th of September 2021, the Archbishop of the Orthodox Church Namungona Yona Rwanga passed on at the age of 76 in the Greek city of Athens, where he had gone to receive treatment. To mark 1 year since his demise, the church today held a special mass in remembrance to thank him for contributions to the establishment. The Mass, which was held at St. Nicholas Church Namungona, was led by the Archbishop Leron Mosmuzei, who was assisted by the Bishop of Gulu, Nictalius Kabuye. In his message, Leron Mosmuzei praised the late Yona Rwanga.
Obutuufu mu nsi muno ebizibu mwebiri naye si bizibu byokka ebikemo mwebiri ate era si bikemo byokka emirimu gya Satani mwegiri ebyo yonna yali abigizaki abimanyi ogwo ojja okukemebwa ate era n'ogwa akujjukiza nti weenenye osobole okudda ku luguudo oba ku safaari eyo okutuuka mbulamu butaggwaawo gwaleeta ebikemu ate Yesu Kristo gwe yagamba nti kyandibadde kirungi oba ebyesittaza weesibe olubengo tukusuule eri mu nnyanja otuviire eddala.
Olwaleero tujaguza olwa kitaffe yali musajja ateetiirira ng'ekibi akyogera nti kiki, ekirungi nti kiki, ensobi n'ebaaki, naffe tugoberere ekkubo lya kitaffe lye yalimu tusobole okubeera nga ddala ne gyali musanyufu kubeera tuzze wano naye okubeera nga tujja wano ate nga twogera luddikya leero kino leero kiri ebyo tebigasa.
The late Yona Rwanga is remembered for his brutal honesty and for his fight for the truth, justice and rights of people. the area member of parliament of Ramiaga. And at the same time, a church member, Theodel Sechikubo, used this platform to advise government to find immediate solutions for the high price of fuel.
And the skyrocketing of prices start from fuel. Once you have fuel prices high, it means that the transport will be high as well. And Uganda is a landlocked country. Uganda has no functioning ports and harbors. Uganda has no functioning railway system. So all goods and services are transported by road. Therefore, once you increase the price of fuel, it means that all these other prices are going to increase. We welcome the planning of government, and the president, we welcome his view that we should go electric. Yes, but currently, electricity and electric borders, electric buses, electric motor vehicles are not in existence. That is a vision for 20 years to come. And that cannot save the situation now. We call upon government, if we can subsidize on other useless things, why not subsidize on fuel so that we can tame the inflation? You cannot talk about a function that, no, you wait for, we shall be bringing you border vehicles, motorcycles that use electricity for charging. Where are the charging hubs? Where you say that on the main road, people are going to be parking and charging their motorcycles. Where are they charging for the bus? Even himself, the president, in his convoy, which vehicle in his convoy uses electric power? So that one is futuristic.
Sechikubo also spoke out against government's decision to back the Nyege Nyege festival.
Now, as parliament put its position clear that Nyege Nyege is undesirable. But we are extremely concerned when the executive are trying to countermand and overrule the legislature. Because parliament, its cardinal and constitutional role is the oversight function. The oversight function means that you look at the entire country called Uganda and you guide accordingly. But we are deeply saddened and concerned that the current government and the executive are choosing to ignore the position of parliament in its constitutional mandate to oversee the activities of government. So we call upon government to adhere to the separation of arms of government, but also to respect the decisions not only of the judiciary, but the decisions of the legislature. You can fault them. They could have been wrong here and there, but once a position is reached and a decision is taken by parliament, that decision must be respected and must be adhered to. And should government go ahead to allow the Nyege Nyege to take place, we shall come up with a substantive motion to put government to order.
The Archbishop Musei, together with Christians, graced the graveyard of the late Yonalonga. Safi Mokile Baleogun Chris Semalemu Semakola for CTV PM Edition.
Well, the late Archbishop Yonalonga was the Archbishop for the Orthodox Church, not the Church of Uganda, as mistakenly said earlier. Moving on, crowds have today lined the route in Scotland as the United Kingdom mourns its longest reigning monarch, the only one most Britons have ever known. Queen Elizabeth II, the second's coffin left her Scottish estate, Balmoral Castle, on Sunday as the monarch began her last journey back to London for a state funeral. Here's more.
At midday Ugandan time, Queen's coffin left the gates of Balmoral Castle in a hearse car, and through the hearse windows, people were able to see Queen's coffin for the first time. Queen's coffin was followed by the Queen's daughter Princess Anne and her husband Vice Admiral Sir Tim Lorenzi, plus over 40 vehicles including police motorbikes, police vans, extra security and an ambulance. Balmoral to Edinburgh is a 6-hour journey with a total of 175 miles, which the King called a last long journey her mother has took. On the way, thousands of people lined along the route to witness the Queen's final journey. The community of Barletta, less than 80 miles from Balmoral, considered the Queen to be more of a friendly neighbor than the monarchy. Residents were well used to seeing the Queen in the area, and many had frequent interaction with her at some point. The crowd was seen crying silently, others throwing flowers in road. While the Queen's courted travels from Balmoral to Hollywood House, special events and parades were taking place as Wales, Scotland and Northern Ireland to mark the proclamation of King Charles III, as well as paying tribute to the Queen. 21 gun salutes and thousands of people have been gathering at all the 3 locations to witness the moment marking the accession of the UK's new head of state.
Whereas it has pleased Almighty God to call to his mercy our late Sovereign Lady Queen Elizabeth II, of blessed and glorious memory, by whose decease the crown of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland is solely and rightfully come to the Prince Charles Philip Arthur George. We therefore, the Lords spiritual and temporal of this realm, and members of the House of Commons, together with other members of Her late Majesty's Privy Council, and representatives of the realms and territories, aldermen and citizens of London and others, do now hereby with one voice and consent of tongue and heart publish and proclaim that the Prince Charles Philip Arthur George is now, by the death of our late sovereign, happy of memory, become our only lawful and rightful liege lord, Charles III, by the grace of God, of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, and of his other realms and territories, King, Head of the Commonwealth, Defender of the Faith, to whom we do acknowledge all faith and obedience with humble affection, beseeching God, by whom kings and queens do reign, to bless his majesty with long and happy years to reign over us. Given at St. James's Palace on the 10th day of September, and in the year of our Lord 2022. 3 cheers for His Majesty the King. Hip hip! Hooray! Hip hip! Hooray! Hip hip! Hooray!
Later in the evening in London, King Charles III met with the Secretary General of the Commonwealth at Buckingham Palace, and afterwards he will host in the Palace Ballroom the High Commissioners from the countries of which he is a head of state, as paying tribute to the Queen. 21 gun salutes and thousands of people have been gathering at all the 3 locations to witness the moment marking the accession of the UK's new head of state. Later in the evening in London, King Charles III met with the Secretary General of the Commonwealth at Buckingham Palace, and afterwards he will host in the Palace Ballroom the High Commissioners from the countries of which he is a head of state. However, tomorrow the King will begin the day with a visit to Westminster Hall, where both houses Houses of Parliament will meet to express their condolences. And on the other side, Queen's coffin arrived at the Palace of Holyrood House, an official residence of the British monarchy in the Scottish capital, where she is going to be laid in the throne room until Monday afternoon. In the afternoon, the Queen's coffin will travel by the procession to St. Giles's Cathedral, accompanied by the King and members of the Holy Family.
Now, as the world and the Commonwealth continue to mourn the death of Queen Elizabeth II, who will finally be laid to rest on the 19th of this month, CTV decided to take a stroll down memory lane to bring you the Queen's visit in Uganda ahead of the 2007 Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting, which was held in Kampala. Take a look.
As the Commonwealth continues to mourn the death of Queen Elizabeth II, we go back to the time when the Queen was hosted by President Yoweri Museveni in Uganda for the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting CHOGM in 2007. The event, which was held at the Kampala Serena Conference Center, saw various guests led by the Queen of England and President Yoweri Museveni make their way to the venue. The guests were then entertained as a troupe of dancers showcased various traditional dances. Some of the delegates who attended the 2007 CHOGM meeting included then Prime Minister of India, Manmohan Singh, the Prime Minister of Canada, Stephen Harper, the Deputy Prime Minister of Singapore, Wong Kan Seng, and the then British Prime Minister, Gordon Brown, plus leaders from the 53 countries that form the Commonwealth. President Yoweri Museveni, who was the chairman of the Commonwealth, would be seen standing side by side with Queen Elizabeth II and Commonwealth Secretary General Don McKinnon. During the summit, the leaders would go on to suspend Pakistan for failing to lift the state of emergency and end military rule, and the British monarchy and its former colonies would then address the dozens of presidents and prime ministers who had gathered in Kampala for the three-day summit.
Papua New Guinea and the Seychelles were welcomed as its 32nd and 33rd members. Since then, our association has continued to attract new members while addressing the great preoccupations and concerns of our times.
Before the meeting, the Queen had gone on to embark on different visits.
Africa.
It was a colorful procession then as the Queen made her way to Chitante Hill Primary School ahead of the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting. Queen Elizabeth II and Prince Philip would then be welcomed by then Minister for Education and Sports, Namirembe Mitamaziri, and the head teacher of Chitante Hill Primary School before embarking on a brief tour to learn about Uganda's culture and art. As the world continues to mourn the death of Queen Elizabeth II and the rise of King Charles III, after 70 years of service to the Crown, her visit to Uganda to attend the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting in November 2007 in Kampala will always be remembered for its color and the beauty that it presented. Suhail Mugawi, CTV, PM Edition.
The principal purpose of which was to open the...
marks the end of our first segment. When we return, I have more stories for you.
Three words: convenience, passion, and pride. Introducing the KCCA app, made for you to interact with the best football club in Uganda, giving you the latest news, transfers, membership options, merchandise online shop, match ticket booking, and fan zone instant messaging. To download the beta app, go to Google Play Store on your Android and search for KCFC. Download the app, sign up, and voila, you're in. Yes, the app is only available for Android users. iOS users, we are coming soon. The KCCFC app, inspired by you, made for you.
Sometimes in life, we spend all the time trying to live other people's life. And along the way, we lose who we are by copying what other people are doing in their relationship.
You see, from the last time I met your sister, I've not spent a day or a minute without thinking about her.
It's a good surprise on a Monday. This is nice.
So you and him are we're just friends. Wow. Come on.
Just friends.
You either tell me where you're from or you go back to where you've been.
Thinking it would work out for us, but yet to find out that's not who we are after experiencing a great disappointment.
She's in love with some other man, so classy, a gentleman, not poor dogs like you.
These are the mistakes girls do.
Now showing on CTV. Don't blink. The big debate is back. Bigger, bolder, reloaded. Whether it is securing your future, holding fast to the people power, or the promise of a one Uganda, one thing is certain: the big debate is on.
So why don't you respect the memories of voters for this?
We have already addressed the issue of increment.
How many people have ever been convicted?
Okay.
It's the way the politics plays in cabinet.
So now why are they asking for the statement?
Follow mainstream conversations on current affairs and leading policy debates in Uganda.
It is in our interest to handle arrested people very nicely.
Right here on the big debate.
Let me finalize. I was quiet. I was quiet.
It's a hard-hitting talk show on development issues in the political and social-economic arena. Discussions that inform policy and trigger high-level dialogue. Now showing on CTV. Don't blink.
Welcome back. Thank you for watching PM Edition with me, Kalachi Brian, and Isaac Luchams for sign language. Now, Kamali District leadership have decried the budget cuts by government, which they say have crippled service delivery in the region. According to the LC5 chairman of Kamuri, who says education department has been the most affected, with 50% of the annual budget getting trimmed. Take a look.
According to Minister Balyomonsi, following the Kasese tragedy, it has been agreed that rigorous sensitization campaign will start to alert the people in disaster areas to relocate to lower and safer areas to reduce on catastrophes.
But the major message that we give Ugandans, that let us leave the hills and mountains and settle in areas where there is little or no risk of these kinds of calamities.
All decided as people of Kasese to plant 6 million trees. So that one, I think, is the beginning of our conservation strategy.
President Yoweri Museveni recently sent condolence messages to the relatives of all the 16 families that lost their dear ones, and each received 5 million for every lost member. Christopher Masereka lost 11 people in his family, including his wife, children, and a daughter-in-law in a disaster, and recollects what happened on the fateful night. Masereka is still nursing injuries at St. Mary's Hospital in Kasese town, while his 4 children are almost admitted at St. Paul Healthy Center. Masereka put on a smile on his face for the first time since the tragedy, after President Museveni sent 5 million for each family member lost, and also sent 1 million shillings for each person admitted in hospital as a result of landslides.
President Museveni
Other beneficiaries thanked the government for the support extended to them during this difficult moment.
I appreciate the government of the Republic of Uganda to intervene in the, how should I call it?
Disaster.
The disaster that occurred in our community.
Nyanziza Yoweri Kaguta Museveni bahabura ureka kadeka mukwedde omwana ku bana bataano nsanyusa nnyo kati sente zino genda okutula wansi nengo emaze okufuna engoye kati ngenda okutula wansi ndandikirawo okubatwala mu ssomero.
The area member of parliament Busongola South constituency thanked the government for the swift response and the assistance extended to the affected families. The disaster left over 16 dead and dozens hospitalized, but the majority were children. Balyomunsi later led the ministers to lay wreaths on the tombs of the deceased persons and assured the people that government will send evacuators to search for the missing people.
We apologize for the glitch. Our previous story was about government, which has begun the process of assessing the vulnerability of people settled in steep areas that are prone to disasters such as landslides for relocation. Dr. Chris Balyomunsi, the Minister of ICT and National Guidance, who led a team of ministers, including Godfrey Kabyanga and Kabiyechi Ofatogabye, to make an on-spot assessment of the affected areas in Kasika Village, Rukochi Sub-County in Kasese District. Now moving on, scores of people are displaced and left homeless after Lake Tanganyika's waters rise more than 5 meters beyond the initial level. And in the Horn of Africa, Ethiopians celebrate New Year amid high inflation. Take a look. The sprawling Lake Tanganyika is the second deepest freshwater lake in the world after Siberia's Lake Baikal. The lake is shared between 4 countries, the Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC, Tanzania, Burundi, and Zambia. But now, these giant waters are swallowing homes and roads, leaving scores of people homeless. Experts say that due to persistent heavy rain, floods, strong winds, and geological shifts, the lake waters have risen by perhaps over 5 meters in recent years. Inhabitants of Kalemi, a province in Democratic Republic of Congo, located on the shores of the lake, have been particularly impacted. Dozens have lost their homes or plots of land. Many have been forced to find shelter elsewhere, including in local schools and churches. Local politicians, including Senator Francine Muyumba, are now calling the situation a humanitarian emergency and calling on the Congolese government to solve the crisis. Mumba says it's important and urgent for the government to provide solutions for citizens in distress. Among those trying to come up with solutions is former Provincial Minister of Tanganyika, Kaluma Abed Ibrahim, who previously oversaw infrastructure, urban planning, land affairs, and habitat. On his office walls are plans of reinforcement of the lake's shores. He says that, as of yet, there are no plans to drain the lake. According to Ibrahim, in 3 years, the lake's water levels rose by 5 to 6 meters and advanced inland by between 200 and 250 meters. He says the DRC and places such as Kalemi have been disproportionately affected due to geographical factors. Ibrahim warns the situation could deteriorate further in the next 5 years should no solution be found. Renewed conflict in the north, crippling drought and stubbornly high inflation, Ethiopians rang in the new year on Sunday with little to celebrate. At a livestock market in the capital Addis Ababa, traders and visitors alike bemoaned the various crises confronting Africa's second most populous nation. The peace situation that you see and hear in different places is not good. People stayed at home and didn't come to the market and bring their livestock. Fighting broke out last month between Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed's forces and Tigray People's Liberation Front (TPLF), shattering a 5-month truce that had raised hopes of a peaceful resolution to the nearly 2-year war. The World Bank said in a gloomy report on Ethiopia, published on September 8th, the heightened level of conflict and fragility in Ethiopia is of great concern. The UN's Emergency Response, or CHA, earlier this month described the humanitarian situation in Ethiopia as dire, with 20 million people nationwide in need of assistance because of conflict as well as climatic shocks such as prolonged drought and seasonal floods. According to the World Bank, with a population of 115 million, Ethiopia has been one of the world's fastest growing economies over the past 15 years. But like many, has been hard hit by the COVID-19 pandemic and the fallout from the war in Ukraine, as well as its own domestic wars. Inflation in July was running at 33.5%, according to official data, with food inflation at 35.5%, deterring people from spending. Away from Africa, Volodymyr Zelensky, Ukraine's president, has gloated over Russia's withdrawal of troops from the Kharkiv region, saying that Russians are running scared. And in Pakistan, Imran Khan survives a plane crash days after threatening to become more dangerous if taken to jail. The details. Hours after Russia's defense ministry announced on Saturday that the country was pulling back its troops from 2 areas in Ukraine's Kharkiv region, President Volodymyr Zelensky claimed it to be a victory and talked down the Russians. Reportedly in a video post on Facebook, Zelensky gloated that the Russians were running scared ever since the Ukrainian soldiers gained access to a vital Russian supply hub. The Ukrainian president further added that his troops had swept and liberated more than 2,000 square kilometers of area since the month started. Following the significant advances made by Ukrainian soldiers in Kharkiv, Defense Ministry spokesman Igor Konashenkov said the troops would be regrouped from the Balaklia and Izium areas. Russian Defense Ministry was quoted saying, to achieve the stated goals of the Special Military Operation Liberation of Donbass, it was decided to regroup the Russian troops located in the districts of Balaklia and Izium for the purpose of increasing efforts in the Donetsk direction. Since busting through the front line earlier this week, Ukrainian forces have recaptured dozens of towns and villages held by Russia for months, marking Russia's biggest battlefield defeat since its forces were forced to abandon their assault on the capital Kyiv in March. The claim of pullback to concentrate on Donetsk is similar to the justification given by Kremlin for Ukraine's capital. Former Pakistan Prime Minister Imran Khan on Saturday escaped a plane crash after the airplane carrying him developed technical snag mid-air. Reportedly, the plane was forced to make an emergency landing. Local Pakistani news sources have claimed that the Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf (PTI) chief was en route to Gujranwala to address a rally when the incident occurred. Accordingly, the pilot contacted the control tower and decided to complete the emergency landing. It was a special plane that was ferrying Imran Khan to the rally. Afterward, he took the road route to reach. However, PTI leader Anzwama Nshwan on Sunday took to social media to iterate that Imran Khan returned to the capital city soon after the plane took off due to bad weather conditions, refuting the claims made by the local media. The incident comes a couple of days before Imran Khan's pre-arrest bail expires in a terrorism-related case. It is pertinent to note that Imran Khan and his aiders are currently embroiled in court cases where a plethora of charges ranging from sedition to terrorism have been imposed. The charges against Imran Khan are related to what police said was a threat to the Islamabad police and his aider who faces sedition charges for allegedly inciting mutiny in the military. However, despite being in a judicial crunch at the time, Imran has been at his aggressive best. Earlier this week, Imran Khan issued a warning that he would become more dangerous if the authorities send him to jail. Keep it CTV as we return after the break with sports news. Welcome back. Thank you for not blinking. In our sports news, Uganda beat Germany 19-12 to win the BAL competition at the 2022 Rugby World Cup Sevens in Cape Town, South Africa on Sunday. Tries from Phil Wokorach and Michael Wokorach and Ian Munyani gave the Rugby Crane Sevens a sweet victory. That result means that they finished 17th at the Global Showpiece, an improvement of the 2 places their debut in 2018 had. Here's more.
Uganda Rugby 7th team this morning emerged champions of the BAL competition for the Rugby World Cup Sevens 2022 after they beat Germany 12-19 in the final at the Cape Town Stadium. The encounter was the 60th meeting between the two sides, and before then, Germany had won in all the previous meetings, but the Tolbert Onyango coached outfit was able to halt German dominance in Cape Town. Uganda's tries were run in by skipper Michael Wokorach, Ian Munyani and Phil Wokorach, who also converted 2 tries.
Still going.
Uganda finishes 17th overall in the Rugby World Cup Sevens 2022 after trophying the BAL competition of the tournament. Uganda were demoted to the BAL competition for the Global Showpiece after losing to Samoa 33-7 in the pre-round of 16 clash on Friday. However, Uganda proved to be better side at the BAL competition, beating the Republic of Korea 0-12 in the quarterfinal on Saturday, and later that day triumphing over Hong Kong in the semis of a 5-14 win. The unique winner-takes-all knockout competition format, first introduced at the Rugby World Cup Sevens in 2018 in San Francisco, means every match counts as teams need to win every time they enter the pitch in order to progress the next round. The 24-team men's competition kicked off on Friday with a qualification round involving teams seeded from 9 to 24. The winners of the qualification round progressed to the round of 16, while they took to the top 8 seeded teams, while the losers went into the ball competition, which decided positions 17 to 24th. Uganda came top, hence finished 17th.
Well, that's a wrap for tonight. It has been a pleasure hanging out with you this weekend. I'm Kalachi Brian with Isaac Luchams. We wish you a good night.